All right. Hello and welcome to this episode of OCD and Anxiety FAQ, or frequently asked questions, where I answer questions that are submitted by the viewers and listeners of the show. And so each week I pick a question and answer. And so if you have questions that you want to submit, there's a little link down in the notes where you can click that and just submit a question. We'll review and see if it's something that we want to bring on as an episode. So this week we're going to talk about a question, and I'm going to read the question more specifically. It was a long question, so I tried to summarize it in the title of "Is this just a thought or something that I really should worry about?" And it's really the spirit of the question, but I'll go ahead and read it here in a second. Real quick before we dive in, my name is Matt Cotty. I'm the founder of Restored Minds, for those of you that don't know me. And for those of you that are really looking for help with OCD and anxiety, we have some resources for you at restoredminds.com. Also some links in the notes that you can get started with. And while you're listening, we would really just appreciate if you would take just 2 seconds of your time and like and subscribe, as well as even going as far to leave a comment or review on iTunes or Spotify, hopefully a good one, just to help the show, help the algorithm, because this will help it get to more people that are struggling. And so let me go ahead and read the question, and then I will try to speak into it in as broad a topic as I can. So it says, hello. I hope my question makes sense. When I have an intrusive thought, I start to worry, right? And inevitably get caught in the loop. So this is the OCD and anxiety loop that I'm talking about. This is not me reading the question. This is just me kind of ad-libbing here. But I sometimes get what I have described as being muddled in the brain, where I start to question whether or not this is truly just a thought, or did in fact what I'm thinking about actually happen. It's almost a chicken or egg concept. Did the event actually happen, which is why I'm thinking about it, or is it literally just a thought that popped up? This, of course, just adds to my anxiety. Hoping you can give me some clarity. I'd love to know if this is common amongst OCD and anxiety sufferers. Thank you for considering my question, JC. So thank you, JC, for submitting the question. Now there's a couple things. So one of the things that happens with OCD and anxiety is that we often engage in mental compulsions. Mental compulsions are these, again, our rumination, our analyzing, our worrying, right? And what happens is when we do that, we're validating the idea that we really are in danger and this thing really needs to be figured out, or we're not safe. We usually don't worry when we feel safe, right? And what most people do, a lot of people who wrestle with OCD and anxiety, is they're just worrying all the time. They're just always in their mind about something. If it's not one thing, it just comes up with another thing. And the mind is just always chatting, right? And when we are engaged with the mind and we're essentially, fighting with the mind or trying to figure out whatever the mind is saying, or is this topic something I really need to figure out? And so that the thing about the mind is it has endless amounts of stuff that it's going to throw at you. And what we need to do is actually disengage the mind and allow our nervous system to feel all the feelings of fear and all this stuff that's going on. And by doing that, that actually teaches us that we're safe right now. A lot of what anxiety is about is I want to make sure I'm safe in the future. And the problem with that is that we live in our mind about the future all the time. So no matter where we are, right? So if we're like here on Monday and we're worrying about Tuesday, well, when we finally get to Tuesday, we're worrying about Wednesday. And then we're always one step ahead. And the problem with that is that we never live our life. I mean, I did this for a long time. And I've realized the biggest problem with OCD and anxiety is not the feelings, it's not the thoughts, it's that you miss your life. You miss it. It's happening right in front of you, and you miss it because you're in your mind worrying about whatever X, Y, or Z your mind is saying. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't feel real. I'm not saying that the mind's not really producing thoughts, and these thoughts aren't, like the mind, you really are having those thoughts. And the mind coming up about whether or not this event was real or whether this was really something is just another thought, in my opinion. Because even if it is something that happened, it is something that happened in the past. Guess what? Can't change the past. Past already happened. It's not even real anymore because it doesn't exist. It's just because the only thing that exists is right now. And if you're living in your past or living in the future, that's where mental illness breeds. Like that is what causes people to be mentally ill in the present, is that they are in the past or in the present. I'm sorry, in the past or in the future. Come on, man, let's go. That's what breeds mental illness presently. This is why, like, I know Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, is the idea is like almost too simple for people, where they're like, what do you mean? Just live right here, right now? Yeah, right. That's all that actually ever exists. Right. And that's very much easier said than done in some cases, or in most cases. But that's the objective, right? Because it's the only thing that's real. And you can say, well, no, the past really did happen, Matt. It did. You're right. Like whatever it is. And the thing is that when you, and this is where people will get caught up in guilt of the past. And, it's like the past serves as a learning platform for the present. So if something happened in the past that you didn't like, best thing you could do from that is take it and learn from it, and how not to repeat that, or or how you could be better from that. In my opinion, that's the best use case for the past, is just how can I learn from it to be better right now. The future is something that's beyond anyone's control. And if you're trying to control the future, the thing is that you're not living from a place of trust. And what our objective is really when it comes to being mentally healthy, if that's really what we desire, is how do I be mentally, and emotionally and healthy and present and engaged in my day-to-day life at my highest capacity, is like I have to be present. And therefore, like, my mind has to be able to put attention and focus into right now. And for most of us, what's happening is our minds are just chatting, right? This voice in our mind is chatting, and we're focused on what it's saying and then trying to resolve whatever it's saying and then trying to do life while we do that. And just like any other thing in life, you can't be two places at once, right? You be here or you can be in your mind. And most of us, we're so addicted to being in the mind that it's like the next thought it throws up, the next thing it says is like, it's always this like, oh yeah, but it said this right now. It said this right now. I had this thought. And it's like, you did really experience that thought, right? I'm not telling you to like deny that idea, but the bigger issue is that you're lost in the mind. And so one of the things that the mind is constantly doing, and this is from the book, Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins, is it's attempting, in many ways, a lot of the thoughts that we're experiencing are attempting to validate the emotion that we're experiencing in the body. And this is why a lot of this work is actually not about getting into what the mind is saying, but it's about getting into the emotion that we're feeling into the body and being able to feel it in its entirety. Now, in many cases, OCD anxiety, we're talking about fear, right? This is why a lot of what people say they're afraid of in their mind is actually almost, in many cases, has nothing to really do with what they're really experiencing, because a lot of it's just a very primal, simple fear. Not simple in the sense of it's not like it's not intense, but it's just a very primal fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of death, fear of losing control, all that stuff. And being able to feel through that is such a that is at the pinnacle of this recovery process. Because again, when you don't feel fear in the body, you move into green in your nervous system, you move into social engagement, right? When you talk about polyvagal theory, and you feel fine. You don't need to ruminate, you don't need to worry. So even when you're in your mind realizing that I'm in fight or flight, you being in your mind chatting and saying all this stuff, that's an indicator to you that you're actually in fight or flight. And so what we need to do in that place is actually work to not get in the mind, no matter what it's really saying, and actually move into the body and allow your nervous system to calm down by feeling through the feelings. Now, we go in depth into this and taking back control, and you can also check out the book, because that's a great place to kind of understand this concept from like a 30,000 foot overview. And then, yeah, so, but that's really how I would answer the question is it's not really about like, is this a thought or is this something I should worry about, as much as it's about, um, you know, not getting caught in that question in of itself, because that's just another thought. Is this thought something I should worry about? It's just another thought. And what we actually want to do is not engage the mind and become in many ways disinterested in what it's saying, to really feel into our body more and get connected to what actually we're feeling, what the fear, where we're feeling it, all that. And by doing that, it actually takes a lot of the power out of the whole situation. And then once you feel safe, oftentimes you can look back and be like, I don't even know why I was giving that any attention or any engagement or anything, right? You can really see it from a clear place. So really, we want to try to get the nervous system to that safe space. And then the answer usually becomes obvious when it comes to worrying about something and whatever it was. So hope that helps. And again, thanks for the question. This was a great question. And I hope this is helpful for everyone listening. And with that said, if you're looking for help, or looking for guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, or look at the links below. We have a couple places where you can get started there. So have a wonderful week, everyone, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.